small river town, 3 kids on Crescent Drive. Our house was the heart of everything when my mom was alive. People stopped by for a drink or two, stories flowed like the tide. Mom made you feel at home the moment you stepped inside. My pops owned a famous bar in town, where we worked and spent our time. Angels roaring down Main Street, Harleys parked in perfect line. Fishing all those Bass Derby days when the town would come alive. More than just a small river town, we were family side by side. Delta nights under endless skies, watching those ships pass, seeing that drawbridge rise. We were the center of the universe, didn't know what we had. Oh, by and I look back at those Delta nights. Every Sunday at that little white church, then Foster's for a meal. Schaefer's had everything you'd need, that 5 and dime was real. Racing down those levee roads with summer in our hair, every turn another memory made, every friend was always there. Delta nights, cool wind blowing in our face, tearing up those river roads, wasn't no better place. Dust was flying, radios loud, we owned every mile, young and wild and free for just a little while. Those Delta nights. Spent hours on the water, casting lines and towing skis, laying on those wooden docks, cooling in the Delta breeze. Summer days that never ended, sun burning through the haze. That little town made us who we are in 1,000 different ways. Off of Highway 12's a resting place for most of my family tree, each name carved in those stones is someone who's still a part of me. They may be gone, but their stories live on, and when my time comes around, I'll be heading home to my Delta ground. Delta nights under endless skies, watching those ships pass, seeing that drawbridge rise. We were the center of the universe, and now I understand they're still holding us together, even from that sacred land. Those Delta nights, yeah, those Delta nights. Forever Delta nights.
This past year was about developing our foundation while preparing for our future, and we did it with a small but mighty crew. Every accomplishment I speak about is directly tied to the positive attitudes, dedication, and hard work of our city manager, our staff, and our commissions. When you add it all up, we're talking about roughly 80 people serving more than 10,500 residents, about 40 full-time staff, a contracted police department, and a tremendous number of volunteer commissioners. To put that in perspective, Fairfield has roughly 180 employees in their public works department alone. Rio Vista has 16. So how do we accomplish what we do? The answer is quite simply you, our residents, our service organizations, our schools, churches, libraries, nonprofits, and local businesses. Our city would not survive without you. We may not have the same resources as larger cities, but we have something just as powerful, an unmatched level of community engagement. For example, while we don't have a dedicated Parks and Recreation department, we collaborate with incredible partners. The Chamber runs the Bass Derby. Rio Vision managed Hog August Bites. The Litter Pickers help beautify our city. The Art and Music Center has hosted a summer concert series. The Rio Vista Downtown Association hosts the Fall Festival. These partnerships are instrumental and they are deeply appreciated. When we have 10,500 residents marching in sync, we could accomplish so much more. And much of this happens because most people recognize we do not have the same economies of scale as larger towns. In fact, we haven't had piles of cash since the days when the city had operating gas wells. As a result, our city manager and staff focus on maintaining critical infrastructure and providing support so businesses can get started and work to create policies to not inhibit growth. Sometimes, too, to ensure a healthy city, we make difficult and unpopular decisions when we recognize a structural issue. You know those decisions. We ask you to shoulder higher water rates and approve a local sales tax increase. Those burdens were not taken lightly, especially at a time when utility bills and grocery prices were already rising. My wife and I experienced this as business owners and as residents. But those decisions were and remain essential to ensuring Rio Vista is a sustainable community. In fact, I ran on a platform of not kicking the can down the road. About 13 years ago, rates were raised and there was significant public pushback. So much so that some leadership moved on. Since then, we've seen multiple administrations move through City Hall. I do not question the decisions they made in the past, as every administration faces its own constraints and has justified reasons for their decisions. But without regular, responsible adjustments to rates, we were left applying band-aids to infrastructure that needed full transplants. This year, we chose a different path, and that choice is what allowed us to stabilize our finances, plan intentionally, and begin building toward our future. Christina shared many of our accomplishments during her presentation, and you can look forward to viewing our slide decks on the city site next week. First and foremost, we centered our efforts on a tight, disciplined, and balanced budget. We ended the year in the black, and much of that success is thanks to our residents for approving the water rate adjustment and Measure K, our local sales tax. These were not easy decisions, but they were necessary ones. Because of them, we now have a solid foundation to build on. Importantly, there should be no big surprises ahead. Measure O will be back up for renewal in the coming year. It should be emphasized that this is not an increase, but simply a continuance of this sales tax, which was nearly 100% used to support our fire department and increasing services from 1 truck to 2 truck. Obviously, if this tax did not continue, this would be in jeopardy. Let me briefly reiterate our 4 top strategies that Christina reviewed in her presentation. First, maintaining high quality infrastructure and services. Second, achieving greater fiscal resilience. Third, increasing community engagement, transparency, and effective communication. And finally, creating a vibrant, safe, attractive, and connected community. Before I move forward, I'm going to insert a public service announcement of sorts. Politics has weighed heavily on all of us. Whether you're on the right, the left, or somewhere in the middle, we're living in polarizing times, and that is exactly why localism matters. While each of us may have strong opinions on national or state level issues, there's a reason we do not publish our party on local elections. It's because we focus on what directly impacts our residents right here and right now. As we move into our new year, I encourage all of us to keep our focus on all things Rio Vista. This doesn't mean you stop caring about the issues you believe in, but it does mean spending more energy thinking local. A lighting project on Main Street matters to all of us. A sidewalk that connects the north side of our highway to our south side matters. These are tangible improvements that directly affect our quality of life. There's a time and a place for discussions on state and national issues, and like all of you, I certainly have my own views. But if we want to accomplish what we've set out to do, our energy needs to stay focused on localism. All people in Rio Vista matter to me, and you can be certain that if any person or group had their civil liberties infringed on, I'll be the first to stand with them. So back to local issues. In the coming year, I'll be having conversations with Caltrans about our challenges on highways 12 and 113 and 160. I'll be meeting with California Forever regarding infill projects within our city limits. And I'll also be discussing with California Forever the potentially devastating impacts of their larger project, traffic, water, and infrastructure. Every one of those conversations will be grounded in the 4 strategies I shared with you a moment ago. Some believe that progress and growth can't happen without killing the vibe of our community. I don't agree. These 2 things are not mutually exclusive. I opened our address by playing a beautiful song written by Michael Keoaluni, who spent much of his childhood visiting grandparents in Rio Vista. Heads were swaying and a few tears were shed. It felt very authentic and nostalgic. But while it was written by Michael, the final version was created using an AI voice. People in attendance when they found out were stunned. It was using new technology that did not exist 10 years ago, but it was neatly packaged together. Progress was embraced by him and yet kept the vibe that we have in our town. We too can embrace thoughtful growth without losing our core values. As we grow, let's not put a Target on Main Street or an industrial park downtown. Let's put industry on the periphery of our community. Let's fill in the gaps with housing that fits our community and allows young adults to raise families here. Let's build a walkable, bikeable, golf cart friendly city where Liberty feels connected to downtown and where Brand Ranch, when it's built, doesn't feel like a different city. And where all paths lead to a waterfront that retains its quaint character. Let's manage progress so we don't lose what we're afraid of losing. Like many of you, I imagine a town with a Kaiser. I dream of a sushi restaurant or a great barbecue joint, maybe a performing arts theater, more skilled jobs right here in town. Some of these goals do actually require growth. Others may be achievable through a strong economic development strategy. As we wrap up our branding effort, we're already discussing bringing on a resource for economic development. We have the foundation with now our general plan wrapping up, a waterfront specific plan, a route out report, and a most recent economic development study. The branding is now just simply the wrapper that allows us to take Rio Vista to market. Last week, we met with a consultant who identified potential opportunities in drone manufacturing. Just yesterday, I met with a data analytics firm that showed demand for a Thai restaurant. He also pointed out that over 50,000 unique visitors stop at Chevron alone each month. This is opportunity. Few of us will be around when Rio Vista reaches 30 or 40,000 residents. Few of us may be around when Suisun is at full build-out of their expansion project, but we may be around to see shipbuilding return to our region or drone technology take off, bringing jobs that allow residents and young families to live and work near home. That means services in town. That means less revenue leakage to other communities. That means funded schools and happier residents who aren't spending 2 hours a day commuting. As we continue our long-term planning, we'll also keep strengthening partnerships with our service organizations and our many positive, engaged residents to improve our community today. This year, we're working with the litter pickers on a flower seed bombing project across several test sites. This year, we're excited to see the Rio Vista Roots Community Garden building planter boxes on McCormick property on St. Gertrude by the high school. This year, the Downtown Association will be installing string lights across Main Street, which will extend shopping and dining in the downtown district. This is funded exclusively by the association and not by the city. This year, we'll be making further enhancements to the Community Events Center, which is directly correlated to the improvements by an anonymous donor this past year. All of these projects are happening because of you working with the city and council. So bring your positive energy and let's make our town its best. Have a great weekend and we'll be speaking soon.